Okay, welcome to day 3 of onboarding. It is Thursday, June 3rd. Um, Welcome back. So first, I just want to check in on what we did yesterday. I know that it was kind of a lot. We were going back and forth, and we kind of gave out assignments and not a lot of details. So the plan is that I've reached out to each of the groups together behind the scenes and just given you the opportunity if you want some one-on-one time or as a group to set up, get going. We can do that. And then also on Monday, I'm going to have open office hours from 12:30 to 2, where I'll just sit on a Zoom link and anybody can drop in with their partner, ask questions to make sure that you have momentum going into the next week with your project. And oh, hi, David.
Hi.
Uh, and So again, just to reiterate, there's no expectation that you have anything started or ready to present tomorrow. A lot of us are just getting set up, and this has used up a lot of our time. And the whole team is there to support you and get things moving because I know it's a lot of information coming at you fast, and the main goal is to know what's where and how to find an answer. And the Trello board is going to help us with steps forward. Down to the fine details. So that was yesterday. Um, and we asked you to just connect your GitHub to your Doc account, Docassemble account, excuse me. Everybody do okay with that? Nice. That was in unison too. So today we're going to talk about GitHub and what it actually is and how we're going to use it. So just a brief overview before I start sharing my screen. And if anybody knows anything about GitHub, please chime in with, a good way to describe it. But it's really just great. It's how we're going to store and share our work instead of keeping like a local file that you share back and forth. The goal is to uh, make sure that you share it with the team and your partner and can um, bring everything together. So it's a place to put it all. It's kind of like a Google Doc, if you would. But you can bring that Google Doc into your own computer, make changes, and then send it back to that place. It's always like where it's going to live. And so what we're going to do today is kind of get comfortable with that sharing process. I'm going to walk everyone how to do it with another fun icebreaker. Um, and we're all going to change something together and see the mess that it makes and how to use it all. So if everybody could open the dev playground, and I'm going to make the assumption that you have a link, but let me know if you need one. I'm going to share my screen. So we should all be in dev, and then we will need this link, which I am going to put in the Teams channel for you all. Okay, so we've got these two tabs that we need. This is an example for later. So from what we're going to do now is we're going to make a pull request, which means somebody, and that somebody is me, made something in GitHub and we want to look at it together. So if you were my partner, we would have a repository, which is each one of these. And each repository holds what we made yesterday, which was our package. And it has all of those pieces. It's got YAML files, it's got templates, it can hold modules, which is an advanced place to put code. But it holds our package and stores it for us, and I want to go and look at it. So that's what these repositories are. And we're going to pull one in so that we can all look at it like we're a giant group working on something together. So the one we're looking for, if you search here, is Icebreaker. And we're going to tap on it. And here it is. And so we're going to just to look at it. So we have a docassemble folder which holds everything that I've sent to it from docassemble. And if you keep going in into data, under questions, we'll find the YAML file. And so as you start to explore GitHub, you'll click through people's folders and you'll start to find different things. It's a great place to look for examples. If you're looking for something, somebody might say, oh, we did that in this form. And once you kind of learn about GitHub and what you're looking for in codes, it's a great place to kind of lurk around and copy work that other people have done, which is not something that a lot of students think that we want to encourage, but it is. We want people to look at work, each other's work, and reuse it. So going back just to the main repo. So from our playground, to start to pull this in, the first step is always going to be to make a new project. So like we did yesterday, we're going to tap Manage Projects. And because we're going to pull something in, we're going to bring all this new information in, we're going to overwrite whatever's there. So I need a new kind of container in docassemble for all this information. So I'm going to name my project Icebreaker. And Michelle, can you remind me, is this the one where we can't use like letters first?
Only letters first, and only letters and numbers, no spaces, no anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so like the 209A as a form that we pull, but it won't let you make a playground call that. It is.
It looks like, yeah, you already have.
Okay, thank you. I've clearly practiced this a few times. So we're going to tap on our project that we just made. For me, that's Icebreaker 1. And it's going to be fresh. Like we saw this yesterday, it automatically puts in the test YAML file that does run, but we're going to overwrite this. This is not something you need to keep. And like I keep saying, we're going to pull in our package. So the way to do that is from folders. We tap folders and then packages, the first option. And yesterday, we uploaded because we had a local file that we wanted to bring from our computers into docassemble. But this time, we want to bring it from the internet, from GitHub, from the outside world, and pull it in. So it's not an upload. This time, we're going to use pull, and it's specifically designed for GitHub. So now we need our URL because it's asking for the GitHub URL and it knows how to talk to it. So we're going to go back to GitHub and we're going to copy it from up here. You don't want like the HTTPS backslashes and stuff. It'll be fine. Or I guess maybe we do. When do we not want it? When we...
No, this is good. When you make
Okay.
your own name, when you make your own package name, you don't want any of that stuff.
Thank you.
There used to be a bug with a slash somewhere, but I think it's fixed.
Okay.
Is that right?
I don't know if it's fixed. I just never include it. I just only nothing trailing after the name. That's the way I do it.
Okay. So copy and paste it, and it seems to know how to handle it. It looks. And the next group is GitHub Branch. And right now I only have one branch, and we're going to talk about branching soon. But essentially, you don't always have to save over the main copy. You can have versioning, and that's what each branch is for versioning. Here we only have one, and we are going to totally ignore this and pull. Are we all doing okay so far? Great. So once it's unpacked, you'll get that green banner and you can go back into the playground and you should all see the would you rather YAML file with just a relatively simple code. It looks very redundant that I made. Okay, so what we're going to do now, first, when would you do this? You would do this when you're coming into work for the first time that day and you're ready to start making changes. You're ready to start working with your partner. You've divvied up the work. You guys have, your file from the wizard that you've put into GitHub and you're very proud of it and it's amazing and you're ready to start making changes. And so you're going to pull it in, start your day fresh. And then what we're going to do is make changes. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to, when we went really quickly through the pulling.
Yeah.
And we did the save, but what about that install button? What should we do about that?
Oh, I'll go back in. So this one? Or
Yeah, the install,
this one?
Yeah, well, so they changed the layout a little. So, but yeah, that first one, I just want people to realize you shouldn't be, generally you don't want to install the package for the server.
Yeah.
Avoid anything that says install. Don't
Yeah.
press on it. Just leave
Save
it
is good.
alone.
You'll have a local copy.
Yeah, just save is good and go back in. And I'll admit I've accidentally hit install and they kept me around and it's just, you don't need to do it. You don't want to do it. It will make your life a little challenging. That's not to encourage it, but also to know that we have breakers in place so that you can't totally bring down the entire project with the click of one button for a little reassurance also. But don't do it. There's no need. You don't need it. But so you've all just pulled a package, which is really cool. Great job. And so this is what you want to do to start your day. That's if you're bouncing back between GitHub with your partner, you'll get more comfortable. A lot of the times things live in your playground and that is okay. But when you're making big changes, you want to try to make sure that you don't lose it. And that means pushing and pulling. So let's make a change and I'm going to do this and you can follow along so that you can see how we share. So maybe I'm a very early riser and I'm your partner and I'm going to go in and add stuff. So first, what are we working on? Let's talk about it. This is our icebreaker. Welcome. Let's get to know one another. We're all going to put in fun, silly questions. I suggest what I call would you rather / if you had to answer. And they're like, if you had to answer this question, what would you answer it? There's no judgments around it, kind of get to know each other, kind of be a little silly. So my example question is one that my family likes to play at dinner. And if you had to choose one deli, meat, or cheese to be your sheets for your bedding, what would you pick? Everything, the bedding, your pillowcases, the top sheet, the bottom sheet would be this meat. So think about it. Let me know. But that's kind of a strong start, right? We're just hammering right through the ice. Let's ease everybody into it. Let's think of a different question to add in. So that's not the first one we're asking right off the bat. So we're going to go into the code and edit it. So here's that question that I wrote.
Now, Aubrey, when you say we're going to go into code and edit, do you want us to hold off and not make this edit? Or do you want us to make it along with?
So I'm going to make this edit and then everybody's going to have the opportunity to make their own edit. So because what I want to do now is show you what happens when your partner, make a change. So I'm up early, you're still snoozing. Rightfully so, get our beauty sleep. And then you come in and you want to see what I did and how that we share that through GitHub rather than sending things back and forth and copying and pasting, potentially losing something. So I'm going to add in a question because I think I'm coming off too strong. So like we did yesterday, does anybody want to tell me how to add a new question in here? Any volunteers? Fair enough.
Oh, you can wait a little longer. Someone's going to have an idea.
Ryan.
I imagine you just pretty much copy the formatting that you had for the previous question with the like question, pipe, return indent, and then just put in the string you want to appear.
Yes, and do you remember why do we use a pipe after question? Sorry, I didn't say there was going to be follow-up questions.
Just so that you can fit more text than would usually fit on one line.
Nice, awesome. So maybe a nicer question would be, would you rather have an office where you could work in pajamas or a really fancy office. And so we've already talked about doing that fill in the blank, which we did with fields. But there's other kinds of questions. This is also going to be a little bit of a detour just to explore DocAssemble. We can do multiple choice. We can do drop downs. And to find them, you're going to scroll underneath like we kind of talked about the first day. And you can look at some examples under multiple choice. Here's what looks like if you do yes or no, buttons with icons, but we really live kind of in the multiple choice yes, no world. And you can also, if you want more help on these, go and explore the documentation. You will, as you are getting up and running with code, this is going to be one of your great starting places to find information. You can search in this documentation for things that you need. And then they have a great menu at the top. It's just a great starting place if you're kind of like, you have an idea, you have no idea how to execute it. Great starting place if you want to give it a go before looking for help. But so the way to do a multiple choice is I'm going to do fields again. And I'm going to say pick one. And I'm going to give it a variable. And this is kind of, I'm zooming through this a little because it's not the point of this exercise. Okay, so there's the question that I've designed. So if I hit save and run, what do we think is going to happen? Come on.
She can be really patient.
I see Ryan's hand again. Come on, guys. Ryan's smoking us. Good. Ryan, if you want to answer, you can.
I mean, I assume it's just going to ask the question and then give you two choice, multiple choice for pajamas or fancy.
Okay, let's give it a go. Oh, I got an error because I typed something wrong. That's not what's supposed to happen. That was not the lesson, but this is a
But it
good
can
lesson.
always be a teachable moment. So what did the error say? Let's just look at it.
What? Yeah, let's. It doesn't. So it's a parsing error. And if you see this caret right here, I don't know, is this large enough for everyone to see? It doesn't like this or something with this line. Let's see why. Does this need to be aligned differently? Come on, I practiced this one. Okay, great. Something was not aligned properly. Let's see what, maybe it was just too far over. Oh, did this say pick one before?
It did.
I think maybe it was that it was 2 words. Nope. Don't know.
Two words should not be the problem. If you undo it so that you get your old one before the paste, it'll be a bit easier to see. Undo and redo a couple times, that can be a good way.
Control Z.
So I can see one thing that is different, though not at that spot, but that might have caused your second error, which is that you have choice and not choices.
Ah.
That's one thing. I don't believe that was your first error. I think the first error had to do with indentation.
Okay. See,
But yeah,
It
we
is.
will get a chance to look at all kinds of errors all over the place. It's great.
it is.
It's really good practice.
And it makes you a conscious typer. Okay. But so back to the prediction, we thought it would show up, but it's not, I'm not getting it. My personal choice is unseasoned chicken for this question, but I'm not getting this question, right? It's not showing up. And do we remember when we were talking about how we need to call for the question by telling it that we need it? So here, I'm going to tell it, I want to tell my order, I need to tell the computer that I want to ask this question. And I'm going to do that by using my variable, copying it, and bringing it into what we call the order block. And that is this monstrosity. And what it is, it's just a list of variables in an order that I want them to be answered. So for the weird question, my variable is meat or cheese. That's what I want answered. And so that's what's in my order block, meat and cheese. So if I want to put something before that question, I've got to tell the computer that what that variable is. So we're going to say office choice is our variable and just add it in a new line. And let's see if that fixes it. And here we go. And we've got a multiple choice question. How cute is it? So,
So cute.
thank you, Michelle. So now I want you guys to see the multiple choice question because it's a great example. And I'm your partner and I want to show you what I've been working on while you've been resting, and it's your turn. So what I would do, once it's saved, I'm feeling good about it, I'm going to push it. So to push, we go to the same place that we pulled, go into packages. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. I'm going to tap GitHub.
Did we take a minute to talk about what's going on in those fields above?
Up here,
Yeah.
we briefly went over them yesterday. So very briefly. So maybe I'll ask, does anybody remember what is happening in our package and in these blocks? It was very brief, so I'm not going to hold the same amount of silence. We're going to go really care. Okay. So when we create a package, you tell it what's part of it. And the place to do that is in here when you're making one. So when I made this and put it in the repository originally, told it that the interview files was my YAML. If I had a template like a PDF or a docx, I would have uploaded that elsewhere. You upload it here underneath packages. You just upload it. I would have had to tell the package that it needs to bring that with it by selecting in template files. And dependencies are, as you scroll down, you'll start to see the doc assembles ones. You add that in your YAML, if I'm correct, by actually hard coding that, but the wizard does this for you, this part for you if you use the wizard. And tells it that we also want to talk to other repositories and some of the information the other repositories has. So we were talking about those questions that the wizard writes for you that you don't have to do yourself. That's because the wizard is saying, I want to talk to this other repository that has this code. And now the package that I have is also dependent on some of the stuff that's going on there. And the wizard's going to help us with that. But if you're starting from scratch, you would need to choose that yourself. And these are the three that I spend time in. I don't know if there's any others that we want to pay attention to now.
Yeah, I think that's good. Just to know that like this will define what is included or not included in your package.
So like if you're missing your template when you pull, it's because your package has not been made dependent on your template when you created it, and that's something you can fix. That's also why we upload things to the Trello card, so that it we kind of have a backup and it lives somewhere until we've got a pretty secure system going. So I'm going to send this to you all. And the way to do that is I come back down to GitHub. And if I wanted to be careful about what I wrote, if I was potentially getting errors or something, I would make a new branch. But I want to overwrite everything we've got so that we all have the same thing. When you and your partner are both working on different things, you will probably each have your own branch that you're working on until you're ready to say, let's bring all of our work together. But right now I didn't like what we were doing before, coming out of the gate too strong. I'm confident that it works. I'm going to just send it to the main branch. And what we write here is a commit message. And the way we write commit messages is you write them as kind of a command. So instead of saying, this is what I worked on, et cetera, it says I add opening question. And it is short, sweet, starts with a command, and then I tap commit.
And again, avoid that install button, which is the one right above.
And I think it's not, I don't even think it's a button. I think it's like a checkbox,
Yeah.
which is, I think, also part of what they change. So that it's not as easy, but you can also tap this install. So if you go back, if we look at our repository, I refresh it, you'll see that I did a commit, and it says here, add opening question. So it's now living in GitHub. So what we're going to do now is we're going to repull. And so now my partners, you have all woken up and you are ready to start for the day. And you open GitHub and you see, oh, we've got a new version that we're working on. Awesome. Now let's do our work. So you're going to want to repull. And because we haven't made any changes ourselves in this playground, there's nothing in your playground that you need to say. Yeah, Michelle.
I want to be really clear.
Yeah.
Do not repull when you have made changes. If you have made changes to the files, do not pull again, because your changes will be overwritten without any warning.
Yes. If you want to see what somebody's done, but keep changes that you've been working on that are not in GitHub, make a new playground like we did from manage projects. So make a new project, I should say. And you can bring it in, have a separate one, run through it, talk to your partner about it. But if you haven't touched it yet, you want to work on what they just worked on, you can repull. So we do that by coming back into packages. Michelle.
Sorry, there is no need for me to interrupt.
Okay.
It just, you can also see changes in GitHub without pulling in, but that's a different process. So
Yeah. And it's like soon you will feel comfortable enough to look at what's going in GitHub and see what's been changed and know what that does without running it. You'll be able to read it and understand what's going on.
You'll be able to read the matrix.
It's going to happen faster than you expect. So prepare yourself for those powers. So so what we're doing right now is we're going to overwrite it. Oh, I don't need this anymore. So you can just come back in and you tap pull, and we've got the same information. It knows where it came from. You don't have to do anything, and you're going to pull. And you should get, for me, it's going to look the same because I made the changes, but you should see the new question in there. So I'll give everyone a moment and just throw me a thumbs up if you see office choice in our order block. Nice. So what we have time to do now is everyone should have a variable that I named for them. And if you go and look for it, remembering that everything is lowercase and remembering that our search box is lowercase. So I'm going to use Joelle, and you can go find it. And I've made you a placeholder question. And so what we're going to do is, Connor, sorry, did you have a question? Or I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah, so after we pull like the new version and before we click that back to playground button, do we need to hit the save on that page? Or
I
will
don't
it
think-
like, do we not
I-
need to save as long as it's like been overwritten by the poll?
So you don't have to. For me, it's often habit, but it's ditched that. I use save if you're changing stuff in here. Michelle, is that correct?
When you change stuff on the packages page is when you want to hit save.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like an old habit. And then once I realized what I needed to save, and why you use save, it remains for me sometimes, but I'm trying to get rid of that habit personally. So if you saw me save, I'm sorry, because you don't need to save.
It is a confusing interface though.
Yeah. Saving's not going to hurt you. So everyone has a placeholder question, and what I'd love everyone to try is to go and replace the text that is the question in their own. So if I'm Joelle, I'm going to come in, I'm going to write a fun question in here and give some fields. The only thing that you need to do is just make sure you keep your variable the same. And we're not going to touch the order block because we're going to start getting into what we call conflicts. And it will make it a little confusing, but I want everyone to just have the experience of changing, and then we're going to send it back into GitHub and make a new branch for everyone and see what that feels like.
And real quick, I've noticed a typo that I think folks will have to change in their own block, which is that there is not a dash next to the specifier that I can't see right now, the key that under the field answer label.
This one?
Yep, there needs to be a dash there. Yep. So go ahead and do that for you, and I can do that for Quentin's block.
I think they all still work.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sorry. So I haven't coded
Oh, maybe,
in
maybe.
I haven't coded in a while, and so I was testing them. Yeah, I think
yeah, they
they
totally
still
work.
work. And so I don't know if that's
My
new.
bad.
I don't have no idea if that's new because it's been a month and I was following the documentation
No
to remember how to
worries.
do all this.
That is exciting for me. New lesson.
So you do usually use the dashes though, I think, especially if you have more than one, which is why we look at the documentation and use it for help. And we also have standard ways of doing things. So if that is how we standardized it, Michelle.
That's how we tend to do it, just all
Okay.
of them the same way, but I don't think it matters right now.
Okay. But so everyone can make a silly change if you don't feel like making your fun question right now. But I would love to just have everyone just make a change in their block. You can add a sub question. You could just write write something silly. It doesn't have to be the full question, but my goal is to take all these, bring it all together, and we're going to do it at Casual Friday as like our fun icebreaker with the whole team. So when we're ready to push it all back together, just throw me a thumbs up.
So would that variable that you told us not to change be the equivalent of the like office underscore choice in your?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'll give you a few minutes. Yeah.
Very
Lenny.
excited about my question.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry, can you run through how you can like upload it into GitHub again?
So we're going to do that all together. I just want everyone to make the actual change in the file. And we're all going to push to a branch, and I'll walk everyone through it. And let's see, maybe I'll change one too.
And it might be worth going through and just putting in a blank space or something and testing yours to make sure your question actually works. Which for those of us who are later in the list, I know is frustrating.
I know, I'm sorry. I did it randomly. But yes, save and run, see if you get your question, see how it looks, admire it. All right.
And then after we make our question, do you want us to do the save and push?
We're gonna push together. So
Okay.
save and run to make sure that it works. And if you want to try something more complicated, we're probably going to have some time at the end of this so we can hang out and try some fun stuff together. But let's get a change just in this file together, and then we're going to all do a branch, and I'm going to walk everyone through it. Michelle, were you going to say something?
You answered my question, so
Okay.
no.
Okay. All right. How are we doing on changes? Does anybody have a question about the change? Do we all have one? It worked. I saw a few thumbs up.
Make sure you leave that variable with your name underscore variable.
Yeah. All right, we'll do 10 more seconds and we'll have some time to walk through errors if you're getting them. If you want to try something more advanced, try experimenting in the documentation. This doesn't have to be our final draft. We have plenty of time before Friday, Casual Friday tomorrow. All right. Are we good to go? I'm going to start walking through how to push it back into GitHub. Okay. So once you've made your changes, we're just going to tap save one more time. Make sure that you've got it because we're going to leave this page. And if you haven't saved it in the playground and we leave to go to the package, you will lose changes if it hasn't been saved. And you do get a warning from docassemble, but you quickly learn to ignore many of the warnings from docassemble also. So when you're going to leave, throw a save. And we're going to come back into packages. And now we are leaving this menu and we're going to go to the bottom and we're all following along this time. You guys get to do this part. Great. And you're going to tap the yellow GitHub button. But instead of pushing it to main, because we are all going to be making changes and now we're really having a conversation as partners. You know, you're working on something and Eleni's working on something else and Kajal's working on something else and Regis is working on another section. We're all working on different things. We can't just put them all together. It's going to make a mess. We're going to get confused on what changed what. We want to start layering and keeping things separate so you can work all the way through your assignment. So what you do is you make a new branch and it's kind of like, here's our new version of what we're working on and you're going to name it. Typically you name it something so that you know what's going on in that branch. Right now you can name it after yourself if you choose. And I changed Bryce's question, so I'll make it Bryce branch. And my commit message is going to be change Bryce question. So this is what our branch is going to be called instead of main. And this is going to be my commit message. I'm going to skip over that install package and we're going to tap commit. And this might take a moment just because we're all sending something to the same GitHub. But once you get your blue pop-up, you've officially committed to GitHub. Fantastic. You're all amazing. So let's go over to our GitHub, which you can do, I think, by actually scrolling down and says this package is on GitHub. Fun trick that I learned from the bootcamp videos. And it's going to open our GitHub. And we should, under main, look at all of these branches you just pushed. And we have all of our versions, which is so cool. Great job. Joelle, I'm going to continue to use you as an example. Thank you for your name today. So we have all these versions and we're working on them and we're adding things into our branch, but to merge it into our main one and make that part of what we're working off of. Say Joelle's worked on her problem and it's perfect. We're ready to, it's good to go. We want to make it part of the main package, the version that we are counting as like, chef's kiss, everything's good. This is what we're working towards. This is what we want to keep. This is the working version. We want to bring it into that main package. And so what we do is we do a pull request. And I'll actually do Bryce's branch for the pull request so that Joelle can do her own. And you want to go and you want to do what we call a pull request, and that's going to pull it into another branch. So you're going to go into your branch, and then you can do compare and pull should come up there. Let's tap it.
And do you want us to follow along and actually make pull requests, or?
Yes, if you would like it to, that if you made a question that you are proud of and you want the group to see, go ahead and make a pull request. If you want to work on your question, you do not have to follow along this part. I get creative block and often need time to think of a question. But so what we're going to do is you'll get this menu and it's going to open a pull request. And this is telling our partners, hey, I think that this is ready to come in. I want you to look at it, make sure it works, that I want to make it official. I want to merge it in. And so you could leave a comment, tell your partner what's going on here, what you'd like to be moved in, what they need to look out for if they're going to test it and try it out. Share with them what's going on. I have nothing to say here, but please leave each other kind messages. And you'll tap create a pull request, which is going to ask for that to happen. Then
This is a good time
yeah.
to just highlight who can see all of this stuff. That's a very good.
Oh, yes. Everybody can see all of this stuff. This is a public platform. This is open source. We are an example also. A lot of people come and look at this GitHub for their own projects. And so you want to be appropriate, professional, and kind, because, this is a professional setting in general. We can have fun, leave each other, smiley faces, but yes. So great point. Thank you. Very public facing. You're public figures now. So what you've done now is you've asked for it to happen, but it's not actually happened until you merge the pull request. So I got a message that this branch has no conflicts with the base branch. Did anybody get a different message? Nice. That means that it's compatible. If I were to merge mine after you guys had made one, it's going to say some stuff is different, and it would point it out, and it would tell us that there's a merge conflict, and it's because I'm trying to overwrite. Yeah, Michelle.
Sorry. No, I can say it in the future, but
Okay.
just you don't want to merge your own pull
Yeah.
request because you want to make sure someone else has got a chance to look at it.
Yes.
But
yeah. So typically you do have your partner do you assign them. So I could assign a reviewee, and I could make Michelle review mine, and she would come in and merge it if it's all good to go. But so I have a good sign here that it's good to go. We haven't created an absolute mess together. We did a great job. We kind of kept to our areas, and we could put all of the questions together. Michelle would come in, she would see exactly that when she reviewed the code, and she would merge pull request and confirm the merge. And it's would have been pulled into the main branch. So now if you pulled the main branch, you would see all the changes that were made from your branches. And you've officially pulled from GitHub, pushed to GitHub, and done a pull request, and probably merged if you went that far. You don't have to go that far if you're not ready.
Should we merge
make
our
it-
own if we are
Yeah,
ready?
give it a go. Typically,
And
like,
if you want to make Aubrey the reviewer, you could do that too as
Yeah.
an exercise.
yeah, it's just you tap here, and my GitHub username is Steve Jobs. But I can't make myself a reviewer. That's why it's not showing up, because I am Aubrey.
And I failed to approve your review, but
Yeah.
you can probably
was-
approve someone else's.
I was an impatient partner.
Sorry.
Um,
I know you well. I understand.
But so if you went and now we pulled, I'm getting all your emails that you guys are pulling them. This is so awesome. So if you went and pulled the main branch now, it would have all the changes that got merged in. And so you can see what other people wrote. And I'm going to do exactly that on Friday. And we're going to go through the questions and see what weird things you guys asked the group. So great job. How do we feel about GitHub? Good. It's a great tool for sharing. It can be overwhelming and scary, but
Maybe you could just review the
yeah.
when you do which, like do the workflow.
Yes. Okay. So when you're starting fresh, you don't have anything to work off of, but you've got your package in GitHub. We pull from the repo. So your fresh wizard file and everything, the next step is to make your repository, which we have steps on how to do. And I will share those out. They are also attached to the Trello card. So you'll make a repo and then you want to pull it in and start working on it. When you have work that you want to save and make sure it does not get accidentally changed or deleted, and you need to share it with your partner, you push it into GitHub. Push, yes. And then when you want that work to be, yep, my work is good, I feel confident about it, I want my partner to test it, you do a pull, a merge, and you pull request. So kind of pull, I don't know, but it's a pull request and it's going to pull it into the main branch.
You're asking for someone to pull it in. So you're requesting that someone pull it.
Yeah. GitHub uses pull in two different senses, so it's a little confusing. But you do a PR. It's a pull request, a PR. And then you assign your partner to look at it, tell them what's going on, and you wait for them to merge it. And then once it's merged, yes, Michelle?
And they can, to test it out, they can pull it into their own repository, make a new project, pull it into their repository, try it out, see if it's working, and then approve it or ask for changes.
Right. Or it might just be a text change, in which case you could just look at in GitHub, as Michelle was saying earlier. So maybe Aubrey, you want to just like show us like what some of the changes looked like.
If you go ahead and click on files changed in the pull request, like go to one of those.
Joelle, going to continue using. Okay, got it. So we see that the placeholder for Joelle was removed and Joelle added a fun question. If you had to choose, would you rather your food always taste like burnt or oh, good question, Joelle. Excellent question.
Thank you.
What would you choose? Could I ask? But
I think burnt.
yeah, not a sour girl.
Not at all.
All right, I like a Baja Blast. I think those are kind of sour.
So if something was burnt, then you could always, and you hadn't made stuff sour, you could always drink something to address the burnt.
True.
Exactly.
wow, this one's gonna stick with me. Sorry. So anyway, you see what is removed and what she's added, and you can compare. And I see only good things here, and I wouldn't need to pull this into my playground. I trust that Joelle had gone and run through, made sure that it actually worked, and we didn't have a syntax error like I had when she pushed it. She might have had
Don't
one
trust
that she.
anybody. Don't trust anybody.
Trust your partner. You
For the purpose of the exercise, we'll trust.
yeah.
For just the exercise. All right.
And say, great, we'll give it a go and we'll merge it in. And you could see, and if here it was actually this on the other side, but she had a misspelling, it would show that she changed one of the words in the line. And I would know, great, that is actually how you spell that word. Good catch. Merge that in for her for a better trust your partner example. That we caught a misspelling that needed to get changed. You could merge it in without pulling it. And we do that. You can, let's go merge Joelle's. So we were in files changed, but I could then come in and confirm her merge. And it's pulled. So you'll, even when you merge your branch, you will still see all of them. So I still see hers. I delete my branches. I don't know if Michelle, you have anything to say about when to delete your branches versus not. They don't actually really go away, do they? They're kind of hidden.
You can usually bring them back if you need to. It's really about the practice with your group and what works best with your group. I generally delete branches because if you keep branches around, you will soon start running into merge conflict. So I actually tend to do it right in the PR. After you merge, there's an option to delete your branch. You just delete it and just agree as a group, everyone can delete everyone's branches, et cetera, et cetera,
Yeah, that's been
after the pull request has been
after the merge.
Yeah. And that's been my practice. It kind of feels scary the first few times, but then you kind of get used to that. So if you keep something hanging around for a little bit, I won't judge you personally. But other than that, that's GitHub. And there's yes, thank you. Great job, everyone. I think it's really great. It's a really nice way to share your work with people and kind of learn a tool to go back and forth and communicate in a different way with a team. And so there's lots and lots of documentation. We had you look at some of it before. Michelle is a GitHub wizard and wrote up a lot of the documentation. And so we had you look some of it. I wrote up some of the documentation too, but we had you look at some of it. So that's where it all is. You can, as we go, we'll talk about it and do things together. But that is it for today. So great activity. Any questions? Stop. Am I still sharing? Stop sharing.
Like, how would you delete the branch if you leave that page, like the pull request page, and it's not just the easy button that says like delete?
That's a great question. So we have all these 8 branches. And so, sorry, I'll go back. So I'm on the main page and I have 8 branches. And the ones that are merged, you can come and delete them. They'll just live here until someone cleans it up, which is reassuring. But then also you gotta make sure you clean it up when you need it. So that was a great question. Any other questions? Cool. So
I have a comment. Another thing DocAssemble is freaking great at is version history. So that means you want to commit early and often and do it as many times as you can, because if you've got code and you have it working and then you edit it and it's broken, if you committed it, you can go back to what you had. But if you did not commit it, you will have to find your way to working code again. So it's a way to kind of put a pin, a save point, if you want, that goes, okay, this is a good spot, I can get back to it. And it's harder on GitHub to get back to even older versions, like not the most recent one. But if we need to do that, you can talk to one of us and we can do that manually.
I think I've had to do that.
There are places where you'll find a sign in the office that says, in case of fire, push, and then exit, right? Like the idea being is that it's a place where everything is and you can always get it back.
If you use it.
Yes. So that's actually a really great point. It's only if you use it. There's a kind of a temptation to keep everything local and like download your YAMLs and stuff like that. But I will tell you from personal experience, you will mess that up. And I don't say that to be discouraging. It's just you're human, and this tool is there to really just make your life easier. So if you work on getting comfortable with it early, it'll save your butt. Like something that I did last year, I did this in the fall, and I had 2 tabs of DocAssemble open, was only working in one, but because I had that second one open, I lost all of my work and I didn't commit it to GitHub. I expected it to stay just in my playground because I was going to come back to it in a few hours, and I lost a lot of work. So trust your GitHub. It's your buddy. All right. So if we're feeling good about GitHub, I am going to transition to the next topic. Your homework with GitHub is to just make sure that you've pushed a question, done your PR request for tomorrow. So if you want to go back in and edit your question, I'm going to make sure that we've got a main branch for display at Casual Friday tomorrow. So before 12 o'clock tomorrow, just make sure you've got something fun in there. You don't have to claim your question. If it's goofy, I will not put any pressure on anyone to say that it's theirs, and I will pretend that I don't know. So that's going to be your homework.
But everyone can look at GitHub, so they will know.
That's
so don't
true.
count on the
That's
ending.
true. So
even if you don't put it next to your name in GitHub, GitHub can tell us which users pushed what changes. So we will still know who you were, even if you don't ascribe your name to it.
Some people are comfortable being silly, but not maybe in front of the whole crowd like that, you know? So I'll give people the option to not claim it publicly at Casual Friday. It's still public, I guess. All right. So we're going to have a quick conversation about testing, and you're going to watch a video and do some reading for that also tomorrow. But there's not going to be any oh, that's not true. There's actually going to be an activity for you to do with that. Okay, so we've alluded to testing a little bit, and I talk about it in the video, and I don't really have much to show you right now, but I just want to introduce the concept and why it's really important. Testing is basically making sure that your product does what it says it does. And it's like you're going into it blind. You want to pretend to show it to somebody for the first time who knows nothing about it, has no expectations, and it works like they wanted it to work. And the reason that it's just really important is because when we think about who our audience is for this project, our audience is people who are going through a really challenging time. And we want to make sure that we are not making it more challenging. The goal of this project is make that time easier for them. And by doing testing, we make sure that our product does just that. So it's really, really important, and it's a really great part of the process. And what we do is we basically think of all the combinations of ways to get through the scenario. So if we have multiple choice, we want to say, okay, if I select that choice, does it actually do what that choice is supposed to do? And we break it all apart and think of all the combinations and the parts of our puzzle that we've made and say, do they talk to each other like they're supposed to talk to each other? And we run through all the combinations. And that probably seems like a lot, but it's actually not as many as you think if you do it smart. And you run through it and you make sure that it does exactly that. And if you find a bug, we fix it and we test it again. And we used to think of testing as kind of like at the end. It's kind of like, oh, just that last step. But it's actually kind of something you're doing regularly with your team when you're saving and running. You're running a really short test to see if it works. But you want to think when you're doing formal testing, you're not thinking of just that little change I've made. It's, did that little change that we made affect anything else? Should it have affected anything else? And why did it affect anything else? And you're kind of going through this map that you've made and taking all the different ways to get to the end to do that and making sure it works. And we do scenarios where we write up a story and the tester goes in and pretends to be that person and goes through the path and then has a result. And we go and make sure it looks exactly what it's supposed to look like. So the video that I'm gonna have you watch later is going to just show you the different parts of testing, kind of how we set it up. And then you're all gonna be a tester. And you're gonna run through the scenario. There should be one for everybody. And you're gonna just put your name next to the tester. I'll pull the sheet up so you know what I'm talking about for the homework, but I am gonna post everything. But you're going to actually be a tester for one. And because most of us are starting on a new sheet, you're not doing testing yet. This is going to be an overview. And we're going to, for those of you who are a little bit closer to the end of the line with your projects and assignments, you kind of know a little bit about testing, and we're going to work on developing some more testing together. So this is an overview.
Maybe by the end of the summer, we'll have more automated testing that people can start working with. Michelle has been doing some really exciting stuff there.
It's really cool. So everyone's gonna come into the sheet. It would load my tab. And you'll pick a scenario and you're gonna run through an interview. You're gonna give us a link to the document that results. You're going to record your screen as you go through the interview. You don't need to talk through it. It's just a visual so that if there is a bug, we can see whether it happened in the instructions or if it happened, what happened on the screen. So a link to the document, the video, and if you just saw anything, have any comments is what this is for.
Aubrey, how would you suggest people record and link?
So in the assignment, I give the test folder for this one. So you can upload everything to this Google Drive. The resulting PDF, you can drag and drop it. And if you could just maybe put your name in front of it so that I know which one goes with which test, since you're each just going to do one. And to record your screen, if you can start a new Zoom, share your screen, record, go through the interview, and then just stop once it's over. You don't have to even turn your microphone on or narrate what you're doing at all. We'll just be able to watch the screen. And that's so that we see what you see when we get something unexpected, so that we can try to catch and see why that happened in your interview.
And although those videos will be in a drive, which is hard for other people to find, it is conceivably possible for people to find it. So be thoughtful about what's on your, we're not gonna like put it on YouTube, but still always be thoughtful about what's on your desktop, etc.
Yeah, and I would recommend doing either like an incognito tab, just in general, because it doesn't fill, or it does, you'll still get the autofill if you're incognito. But I've turned off Google autofill because once you get to testing, you are so tired of it trying to autofill things that you don't want it to autofill. So if anybody, you can just Google how to do that. It's very quick.
You can always also download or have a different browser that you do for testing. Like there's a developer's version of Firefox, which I use for some stuff. And there you could just always have autofill and everything turned off. And then also you probably don't want to be logged in to DocAssemble so that you don't have your email address up at the top.
But The video I'll share with everyone shortly breaks this down a little bit more, but not into too much detail. It's just to start understanding how to think about testing, because if you kind of think about testing while you're building, it requires you to just think about your interview and kind of a map and where it goes, where it splits, where it comes back together, and like what talks to what, and that can help you build a better interview. Thinking about what we're going to, like, just really thinking about it in that sense. Any questions about testing and what the homework is for that one? Cool. So I think we've officially come to the end of our demo week. The homework, what we're going to put up today is going to be to read about testing, watch the video about testing, run a test, do your PR if you haven't by 12 o'clock tomorrow. And other than that, you can start getting together with your groups and moving forward. David, I reached out to all the groups together just to say if you need time to get together and help get set up, because we got cut short yesterday. I've offered that time. Again, I'll be doing open office hours on Zoom from 12:30 to 2 on Monday for anybody who comes back from the weekend needing a refresh, as Mondays are basically for, and figuring things out. If you have questions along the way, let us know.
And tomorrow, if you have something that you want to talk about or a blocker that you're facing, we'll be able to address with that. But mostly it'll be a chance for you to sort of see some more of the team. And don't be surprised, you will now be the majority, actually. So the rest of the team is not it's not as big as it used to be. So and I just realized you might be like, what are we going to come in? There are going to be 100 people. There will be a couple more people than there are now.
Yeah. So we all know each other, and we'll get to know each other more. And I think it's going to be a great summer. I hope you're excited. So if there are no other questions, I will stay for the next 20 minutes, just if anybody wants to use the time for any help or anything. We've got the link, but otherwise, you're good to go. Congratulations. I'm going to stop the recording.
See y'all tomorrow.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.